Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair and this week's car booty. Yeah, so we have a couple of PCs this week. Let's see what we have. Let's hope this is not too stressful like the last week was. Okay, so this one, well, it has a couple of USBs on. There's a graphics card in here of some sort. This looks like an old machine. It has a joystick port on there. All beige fittings, beige case with a little blue flash at the bottom. Okay, I would imagine this one is probably older than the ones we had last week, so I'm going to say a Pentium 2. Yeah, just why not? And you guys can say something else and put it in the comments below, and again, why not? Or why? But why is because it's fun. Yeah, because it's fun, because we can. So get guessing down there. I'm saying this is going to be a Pentium 2. This one seems to be nice and clean. None of that corrosion we seem to find on a lot of things here. You have as long as it takes me to take the top off this one to get your guesses in. The time is ticking by, yeah. Whatever you think this thing is. Who's right? I'm wrong. That's the first thing. I'm wrong. Yeah, this is not. Is it Pentium 4 with a funny heatsink on? So QDI board Platinum 2. So I've had these motherboards before, the same. Okay. I've had the same one before. I seem to remember they were worth a few quid, English term, yeah, worth a few quid. This one. Capacitors, I think they're all good, they're just dusty, that's all, a bit of dust there. Yeah. Graphics card looks a very generic sort of thing. Then we have a modem and a LAN card. Okay, I think we will take this thing apart because I'm not really interested in the whole machine. And let's see what we actually have here. So, as we know, Platinum 2 QDI motherboard. Platinum 2A. Must be a P4, socket 478, just by the plastic frame around the CPU socket. The way it fits, a little bit of an unusual heatsink and fan. Looks good and clean, capacitors are good. Five PCI, no, 6 PCI, 1 AGP and 1 CNR, which is fairly useless. And looks like it might be a bit damaged anyway, actually. Push these back. Yeah, they go under just a little bit of persuasion, just get the edge of that under there, but under it goes. Okay, yeah, now as good as new. See, it wasn't so bad, was it? It wasn't so painful, that. Okay, not that the thing is of any use for anything anyway, to be honest, really, these days. In fact, it wasn't really much use for anything back in the day, you know. Okay, so otherwise it looks okay. This has the 4-way connector here and also the like half of an AT connector here. I think my power supply actually has that on as well. Let's check for the usual problems. So ground, that's probably the ground pin. Ground, yep, resistors climbing up there. Okay, fine. So no short on the VRM on the high side at least. Let's connect the analyzer card, start switch, the other things we need, no good PSU, and then let's see if this one is working or not. We're ready to go. I haven't put a graphics card in, there's no onboard VGA on this. This is the power supply used, by the way, for a lot of these boards. All the ones with 20-way ATX connector has this power supply, and this does have that 6-way as well as the 4-way. It's a Pentium 4 power supply. You can see 420 watt. This is probably the best P4 power supply I ever found off a machine at the car boot sale. I had to recap it, but other than that, it's proved to be very reliable, so well worth keeping that, I think. I don't know if that brand's known of, but it certainly works well. Let's see what it does. So, power on. Does it start? No. Switch the power on the power supply. Does it start? No, well, there's a red light on. That's a good start. And it does start. And either it's saying there's a problem with the RAM, or there's a problem because there's no graphics card. That long bleep is probably a problem with the RAM. Just try resetting that. Oh, it's quite dusty and dirty down here anyway. Let's clean it first. I'll just brush the dust out of that. Oh, that's quite corroded as well, look. Okay, a bit of isopropyl alcohol I think would be the best bet here. This is certainly an early board if it's a P4, because most of them take DDR400, and this is PC133. Okay, I've reseated that several times. Let's have another go. Power on. Yeah, that's going further now. No graphics card. Here's the graphics card that came with it. Looks fairly generic sort of thing. Let's have a look. Oh, well, it's a creative. That's interesting, at least more interesting than I thought it might be. If that's Creative Labs. What is this thing? MS8839, is there one of those? Okay, MS8839. Oh, NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA Creative MS8839. We'll try it first and then we'll have a look to see what that actually is. Let's see. Well, it doesn't like it. Could be this slot is dirty as well. I'll give this a clean. Let's clean the slot. Okay, give that a go again. Power on. It's got it. Oh, we're going to have a picture on this as well. We're going to get a picture. It's a 1.7 gig Pentium 4. So an early one. Definitely boots up. Graphics card is basically functioning. Let's have a look to see what we've got here. These are the for sale listings on eBay. We have a IFPINOBZ. Must be something similar. 2PE800, completely different model. Mine is more similar to this, but this is the AL. Mine is just the A. P2PE, P2PE. Mine's the same as that one. So there's one for sale asking £125. I don't see any others. Has anybody bought any of these and what did they pay for them if they did? That's the question. Well, that's... I don't know. But whatever it is cheap. Okay. Looks like it just says Platinix 2. And can we even see this little bit? That's the same as mine. So this thing is either worth £30 or £120, whichever you like to believe. Okay. How about that graphics card? So we have a creative and a part number, but not like a model number. We have MS-8839 NVIDIA. So let's see if we can figure out what this is. It's one of those. It's a GeForce 2 MX200. This really isn't of any value at all. So machine cost me €20. I mean, it would suggest that if the motherboard is worth 30 and this is another 14, about 44, double what I paid for it basically, if anybody's been buying any of these. But there again, the 30 could have been a fluke, you know, I just don't know. Yeah, 10. So it's worth about 40 or 130 something, you decide. And then let me know down there. Okay, so that one works. Let's see what else we have today. And we have the second machine, so this one, a couple USBs at the bottom there, ATX case, all beige, this one. This doesn't have the side on, so I know what's in here. And what is in here is this, so ASRock motherboard, okay. CNR riser again, probably a similar age to those other machines we've been having. Looks like probably some sort of, well, I can't see the socket, but I'd say it's probably some sort of Athlon machine. Yeah, something like that. Let's see. It has a hard drive in. I'll remember to test it with a hard drive on this one, if it boots up, if I can get it to work, okay. So, yeah, I think it might be having 4 USBs on the back of it. Probably this one is an Athlon. I doubt it's a Pentium 3, that's for sure. So we'll get this out and let's see what we've got. Yes, I can just see down the edge of that heatsink now, and I can see the brown substrate, so that is definitely going to be an AMD processor. Okay. Capacitors look good on this one. Comes with a fair amount of dust and fluff, but otherwise it's fairly clean. I don't see a 4-way ATX 12 volt connector on this, just the 20-way. Okay. It does effectively have a couple of VRMs on here. I think I'll just give this one a go actually. Let's see if this actually works. Being an AMD machine, I really find they are worth less than the Intel ones, apart from if I just have to find one of those K6 machines, which are really hard to find. But other than that, they don't seem to have any great amount of value. Oh, apart from I had at least 1 or 2 that had the ISA slot on, at least one of those actually worked, so those ones are worth a decent amount of money. Okay, hard drive is a 40 gig Seagate. Let's connect everything up and let's see what this does. There is a sticker on here with a date, so this says 210907, so if that's from 2007, this is quite late really for an AGP motherboard. A little bit surprisingly so, I would have thought. Well, let's see. Power on. And it starts, but it doesn't boot. Okay. Starts, but it doesn't boot. I'll just put the analyzer in a different slot because you never know with these. starts but it doesn't boot. Okay. Does it switch back off again if I switch this? Let's have a look. So we switch on. Hold the button in. No, it doesn't switch off with the button. That generally means some problem with the chipset. So it's going part way into the boot sequence, but it's no longer responding to the button. That strongly suspects a problem with the chipset actually on this one. Okay. See if anything is getting warm. A bit of warmth, but nothing overly hot there. Okay. Let's take the RAM out. I doubt this will make any difference at all. I wouldn't expect it to. Switch on again. Start. Same thing, won't switch off again. Is the V-core coming up? Just out of interest. Let's check that next. That will be down here. So one of these will be 12 volts. Well, that's V-core 1.6, so that's looking good. So V-core is up, but it doesn't run. Let's get this heatsink off here. Let's see what we have. And I don't believe it's RAM, by the way, the fault, because it's not even booting. Yeah, it's not getting that far yet, guys. We're not that far down the road yet. Okay, so Apple 2000 plus. A little bit warm, you'd expect that because it is powering up. It does have V-core. Looks quite clean to me. Don't see any bent pins or anything. Stick it back in. With these type of processors, you should always put the heatsink back on. It does need a bit of tension on these because the die is so small, there isn't much area to transfer heat. So I'll just kind of reallocate a bit of this into the middle. Okay, should do the job. Let's have a look to see if the north bridge looks okay, like the heatsink compound on that one. Yeah, looks okay. That doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. I'll leave that off just for a moment. The CMOS battery looks bad. Looks slightly bulged actually. Yeah. Well, it's managing to read slightly negative. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not quite sure how it's managing to do that. That's with the power supply off, of course. Interesting. Let's change this. I'll check the voltage, and because I suspect the chipset, I'm going to check the current draw as well. 3.3. I'll use this meter because this has the microamps range, which is what I want in particular. Okay, so current. Red lead onto the battery, black lead onto the clip and push it backwards. 5. I mean, anything between about 1.6 and 10 is considered okay. I don't know what it should be, but that is okay. It's within the range I would expect. So without that heatsink on just for the moment, let's put the analyzer card back in and let's see what it does. So power on, start. Doesn't do anything. Right. Is this getting very hot very quickly? It's getting a bit warm, but I'd expect it to do that. There's no heatsink on. Now it's time for the thermal camera. Okay. Let's have a look. So that's with standby on. So just standby's on at the moment. Nothing should be getting hot with standby only. This is just the shiny top of these capacitors. They're reflective, so they look like they're hot. That's normal. Don't see anything getting overly hot on there. Let's switch it on and let's see what it does. So power up. Well, the north bridge is only at 30 something. That's not what you would call hot. I mean, bear in mind there's no heatsink on it. That one's also at 30 something. What's this down here? This is a MOSFET. That'll be powering that, I would think, and it's only 30 something. What else do we have? Gone to sleep. 46, nothing overly hot. That's down here somewhere, little chip there. That's near to the BIOS. It's the one next to it there, but it's not hot. 40 something. What's this Northbridge doing now without the heatsink on? Still only 36. I suspect it's not running. It's like it's just held in reset. It's not completing the boot sequence, I would say. Doesn't complete the boot sequence. What's going on down here? 31. That's these, I think, down here somewhere. Yeah, there's a couple little MOSFETs down here, like voltage regulators. Similar temperature. So there's nothing hot. Yeah, nothing hot. Looks like it doesn't come out of reset. Could be the processor. I may have another one that'll work in here. Okay, so this is the same as that one. 2000. Well, it says DUT3C, and this one's DKT3C, but I think they're the same. Well, we're going to find out. Okay. I normally would clamp this on, but I want to run this long enough so I can see whether it boots on the analyzer. That's all I'm going to do. And that is not too much of a problem, I believe. Okay, so let's see if we can see the analyzer cutter there. Does it start? No. That's all I wanted to see. It doesn't start. So this one appears to have a problem with the chipset. You'd think it might be the BIOS, but I would have to say it's not getting far enough to actually execute the BIOS code. It isn't even getting that far, okay? Looks like, I mean, the clock LED isn't lighting up. If you watch. No clock LED. So when you have the power on sequence, it goes through various checks first, the various voltage rails being up, and then it starts VCore. So VCore is the last voltage that starts. So that really means all the rest of the voltages must be okay at that point. Certainly VCore is up, we know we've had a look at that. VRAM looks like it's down here. Possibly 2.5. I think that's actually correct. I think this is DDR400, and I know DDR400 is 2.5, so that is correct. So VRAM is up, VCore is up. We have 1.8 on this one. We have the chip there, so there's probably a supply on here. 3.3, 1.9. Looks okay. I don't know exactly what it should be. Another one down here is possibly for that. This is 3.3, yeah, 3.5. That's okay for that one. So all the voltages are there. So the next thing that should happen is the clock comes up. It takes the reset off the processor, and then the processor executes the first instructions from the BIOS. And that's where it's failing somewhere at that point in the sequence, I would say, because obviously vColor came up, but it didn't work after that point. The giveaway really is that I can't switch it off from here. So that means effectively the logic in the startup sequence, which is between this chip, this one and this one, is failing. It's like hanging up. It's no longer looking for the power button. So that's another good indication that this has a chipset problem. We could of course look for a BIOS file and reprogram the BIOS anyway. This is the chip, we can see it. But another good method here and quicker, and by the way, that does look rather corroded on the pin there actually, now I'll come to look at it. Let's try to reseat the BIOS. I'll clean this up, and if it still isn't doing anything, then another good method would be to find the enable pin, the chip select, and just put our scope on there and see whether the processor actually is even trying to read the BIOS, okay? Well, first of all, let's just clean that mess up. I do have a proper extractor for these, but you can also do it this way as long as you're careful you don't put too much strain on the corner. You can see it's flexing slightly, yeah? Okay, so it's coming. Let's see what we have. Well, there's definitely some corrosion on this, particularly that pin actually seems to be rather badly corroded. I'll try some isopropyl alcohol first. Okay, I managed to scrape a bit that way anyway, you can see that. It may help to get the microscope on this. Yeah, I can see into there quite clearly now. We do have a corrosion problem here. Okay, that's still not brilliant. It's better than it was before. Let's look at the ones down the bottom. And to this side. So you can see that first one was the main problem. Let's look at the chip. Yeah, this is where it was the worst. That side's pretty good. That side also. I do like the autofocus on this microscope. Yeah, just have a little bit of a go at this one again. I hope I'm not getting any metal filings onto the motherboard or in the socket doing that actually. Come to think about it, wasn't the best of ideas, yeah. That's probably a better idea. Yeah, this side looks pretty good anyway. And that side now looks much better, okay? That's probably as clean as I can get this with isopropyl alcohol on the brush, but let's hope that's good enough. Okay, is that any better? No, it's still on 0. It's still on 0. Either that socket isn't good or it just isn't getting that far anyway. Or the BIOS is bad. Once again, same. Okay, let's just find the datasheet for this. And here it is. So we can see the pins. This is our package. It tells us we have chip enable E with like a overscore. That means it's active low. So this goes low to enable the chip. We have output enable, write enable. So I'm sure we can say that if the processor is actually trying to access the BIOS, that this pin and this pin will both go low. Let's have a look. One may just be low all the time and the other one might just go low. So E and G, where are they? Well, they're up this side here, so we can see the two pins here that we're interested in. Let's have a look on the scope and see what this does. Okay, power on. Well, that goes high and stays high. Yeah, doesn't go low. And the other one doesn't really matter, because if that one's high and stays high, it doesn't really matter what the other one's doing. Okay, but we'll try anyway. Also goes high and stays high. So we can say, in fact, that this isn't even trying to read the BIOS. Never mind the fact the contacts on it were bad. So I don't see any point in reprogramming the BIOS. Otherwise, well, you're just denying the evidence in front of your eyes, really, to be quite honest. Let's have a look to see if this one is worth anything. Well, as usual, eBay sold listings generally tells us what the truth is of this. So 2 have sold. One sold in June for £25 and one sold in August, actually yesterday, for £35 with the backplate. Okay, I have the backplate in the processor. And the basic answer is that it isn't really. So this just reinforces what we sort of knew all the way along. It won't shut down from the start button. It appears to have a chipset problem. I stand by that. But you might think something different. Yeah, it's always open to conjecture on this channel. So let me know what you think. That's as far as I'm going to go with this one. Basically, it isn't really worth going any further. But it's interesting. It's a nice tool. It served its purpose as an educational tool. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you all soon again on Learning Electronics Repair. Ciao for now, guys.